Hello, welcome back to Showboys. We're here, Severance, Season 2, Episode 2. Goodbye, Miss Selvig. Um, I want to go through all the things like Patreon. Go check out patreon.com/Showboys Podcast. Thank you, top tier patrons, Tim B, Yusuf H, Joe C. You guys are awesome. Our other patrons, you're awesome. Sign up. Dad, how you doing tonight? Great. I'm glad.
Yes.
So this episode was really, really good. And I have a theory.
Oh,
We'll get to the recap and like breakdown of like all the happenings of the episode, but bro, Lumen is trying to like Emperor Palpatine here. Am I
yes.
wrong?
Yeah, I get that vibe for sure, especially after seeing the whole connection and like what they're trying to do with Miss Casey, and
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think we talked about it, but like the percentage of that bin that he was working on was 68%, and the screen that she had was also 68%.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, and we learned in the episode that Miss Casey is very much really dead on the outside. Mark identified
She
her
gone.
body and everything. But she also was very much really alive on the inside.
Yes.
So that still needs to be explained. We got to see some new like Kier henchmen hanging out with Helena. Man, so much stuff happened in this episode.
Yeah.
Are you ready to
And not a
get into
lot,
it?
and not like a lot of like hidden details, not as much as the any part.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this before I came down here. Like, this was just showing like how crazy it is outside, and like all the shenanigans that Milkshake was doing. Dude,
Oh, dude, I love Milkshake. Like, he's a terrible person, but I love his character. Like,
yeah,
he's just phenomenally acted. I love how just absolute chill he is all the time, and like his voice is
but
just so
like
like
there's just something about him that's just eerie
yeah,
and creepy.
very deviant and menacing.
So fun fact, he actually learned to ride the motorcycle for this show.
Oh, really?
And I think he actually got into a crash, or he wrecked his bike or something.
Oh, geez. That's funny. But before we even get into the episode, well, I think there was like an intro bit of the episode, and then they played like the intro opening credits thing. Is that right? The opening.
Well,
credits.
the whole like they played a good bit of the episode. Like it's like 10 minutes before we even got that intro, like the title sequence or whatever. Is that what you're talking about?
It was that long.
Yeah, it took a minute to get there.
10 to be exact. Yeah, but we have a new opening credit sequence, which is very crazy.
It's
but also
jam-packed full of like crazy stuff for sure.
Yeah, and it kind of leans towards the theory that I put out there a minute ago. Like at the end of the sequence, you see a little baby crawling. Is that baby Kier?
Baby Kier, yes.
But yeah, so anyways, let's get into the actual episode. Sorry, I got very excited there.
It's hard to like, there's so many things that happen in this episode. Like, I want to get to those things, so it's kind of hard to like, okay, so now we got to go through the actual episode and break it down.
Yeah, well, we don't have to go through like we don't have to rehash like every single event that happens.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of the stuff that happens is pretty important, so we will touch on a lot. But yeah, before we get any further, like let us know in the comments if you think that was baby Kier and they're cloning Kier. That's what they're working on.
Or any other theories you got.
Yeah, let us know.
We're here for it.
There's a lot of theories that could be had. So let us know in the comments, and we'd love to read them. But one thing that we learned, though, not right off the bat, but throughout this episode, is It hasn't been 5 months since the
It's been
incident.
like days.
It's been like a weekend.
The whole they did that little montage thing with him going into work and leaving work with the guard or whatever.
Yeah.
It was at least 3 or 4 or 5 times maybe.
Well, I think that part, like towards the end of the episode. Oh yeah, I guess there was a handful of times of him going in
Because
before the other ones went in.
It led up to the where he grabbed the speaker and was talking to the board.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe a week.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, because we see the incident happens, and then Milchek does damage control, and
Right.
that appears to be like over a weekend, because Mark's
Yeah.
like,
Well,
I'm not sure if I'm gonna come in
Monday, because he's like,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that you'll consider coming in Monday or whatever.
Yeah. So definitely hasn't been 5 months.
I don't think
Probably
so.
only a week, maybe
Yeah.
2 max.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I wonder why he was,
There's
making
a
it
lot
seem
of
like that. Yeah, a little deception.
deception going on with Lumen for sure.
Yeah, why don't you kick us off with
Okay.
some of the damage control that we see Milchek doing after the incident, and I just randomly got the hiccups, so that's fine.
So, well, I mean, the episode picks up like black screen, kind of the events of season 1 finale, all the stuff going on. It actually picks up with Mark at Devin's house, and they're like, "What are you talking about, bro?" So that happens. It shows Helena after the party. Her dad comes in and calls her a fetid moppet, which I thought dude was about to deck her. Like he was mad.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. I kind of backtracked a little bit. Just some kind of like setting up things.
No. Set away.
And then we see Dylan leaving with an ice pack on his head. Lumen's closing for the night, and Milchek is watching as Dylan leaves. And Helena comes, and this is where she basically is saying, all right, we need to do some damage control. Go find out what they said. And he's like, do I fire them? And she responds, let Kier guide your hand.
Yeah. But like in a very like not sarcastic, not like in a very Jedi like I'm gonna make, I guess, compare this to Star Wars for some reason. Probably is the crappy Palpatine comparison at the beginning, but hey, if the shoe fits.
I mean, I agree with you for the most part. I feel like there's something going on with that. And dude, this is very much like a cult, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like this is like straight up cult stuff.
Yeah.
So Helena and Milchek leave. They part ways.
By the way, I looked up fetid.
Yeah, what does that
moppet.
mean?
Fetid, something that smells unpleasant.
Oh.
And moppet, an old English word for a small, sweet child. So calls her a stinky
child.
Kid.
You smelly child. Wow, what an insult.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of like goes back and forth here between Helena, and she actually goes and meets with Miss Corbell, or Cobell, and then Milchek is going to each person. So basically, she's happy that Miss Cobell was prompt in coming, and they speak, and Helena offers a promotion to spearhead a new Severance Advisory Council. And Cobell's like, you don't fire me, you fear me. And Helena says, we fear no one, which is kind of sinister.
Yes.
And then she ends up saying, I will put some thought to it.
Yeah.
And then Helena records an apology video to the public, blames it on the alcohol, which is, I guess that works. So Milchick meets with Dylan first, says that there was an altercation where he was the aggressor, and that he's being fired.
What am I going to tell my wife?
Yeah, what am I going to tell my wife? And then it cuts back to Helena, and she says, "I am human, just like my innie and just like you," which I thought was very interesting because she's been on record, on video before, telling
Dehumanizing
Innie,
herself.
Helly, we are not the same. You are not a human, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the video ended, the recording ended, and she just kind of like sits there and looks down. And I feel like that's very telling because now she's like really trying to figure out what her next steps are. Like really trying to she's contemplating what to do next. Or maybe worried about the damage that she's done. I don't know. But she's very mysterious and I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know what she's capable of.
Yeah.
She seems very significant. So, and then this is where it goes to the intro video.
Yeah.
Which was
the crazy intro video.
I love, dude, all the shows I've seen, like season 1 of Severance was the only show that I had to watch the intro video each time because it was so cool.
Yeah.
And I have the same feeling watching this. And there's so much, I feel like there's so much more here in this video that kind of like what you alluded to. There's just so many clues of what's happening.
Yeah. And whoever wrote the theme song for this deserves all the awards and money. It's like that little piano line is just like
it's so catchy.
So good.
It's so memorable.
It's eerie. It's kind of a little like disturbing.
Yeah.
But like hauntingly beautiful. I love it.
So what are some of the moments of this video that stuck out to you?
Dude, I don't know.
Besides everything.
It was very weird. The part where he's like crawling through his own brain is very weird. But no, the thing that really stuck out the most was the little baby crawling at the end because it's like an older person and doesn't. I mean, I only watched it once, but it didn't really look like Mark. It almost kind of like made me think of Irving a little bit, but I think that was just because it looked like an old man as a baby.
Yeah,
and that's interesting. So yeah, I thought immediately after the episode was over, I was like, they have to be like trying to clone or bring back Kier. Like that's the only thing that they could be doing. What about you?
I mean, there's a lot of like little details that, you know, if you blink, you'll miss type situations. I love the floating Mark heads, balloon heads.
Yeah.
There's a part where he's walking down the stairs and then he's standing on some water. And then you see a reflection of two people running in opposite directions. And I think it's Helly and Gemma, Miss Casey. I love the whole like innie outie Mark interactions. They're the part where like giant Mark wakes up and grabs them both. Yeah. The bed is like full of like faceless babies in suits. What? It's so crazy. This is like a dream, a literal dream. Like if I could explain what a dream would be like, this is straight from someone's dream recorded. Let's see. So there's a part where he jumps down like he does in the first season intro, where he jumps into his head, the lower part of his face. But then it like turns into a goat painting or whatever. There's one specific part I'm trying to find. Okay, so more towards the end, where he lifts up the curtain where the elevator, the wall is, and Outie Mark goes out, but then he's being held by Any Mark. When it zooms out, it shows the field, and it's like a book. But it's like, if you go back and watch it, it's like mirrored. The image is mirrored. So like on one side, you have Any Mark holding or carrying Outie Mark. Now on the other side, there's Outie Mark carrying Any Mark. And then on the one side, you have giant inflated heads of Helly, and on the other side, you have giant inflated heads of Gemma. And then, and then we see Cobell's head. It's like, it's just her, a blank face, and it shows Mark. He takes off down the hallway, and then we see the dark hallway, and it flashes in between Helly and Gemma at the elevator.
Interesting.
So I think it's alluding to this season being about who Mark is going to end up like chasing after. Because as we see, Helly or Helena has a creepy like obsession with watching videos of her Any making out with Mark over and over and over again.
Yeah, we could talk about that in a bit. But yeah, there's a lot going on there, a lot to unpack. Good catches for sure.
Great intro.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, episode starts like right after the finale of season 1, and it's quick damage control by Lumen. Milchick, like you said, goes and fires Dylan G. He goes to Irving, fires Irving, doesn't really give like an explanation at all. And then, Mark S., he's still at his sister's house. What's his sister's name again?
Devin.
And they're like trying to digest what just happened at the party, because that's how quickly the damage control takes place. Like,
right,
the last guest is leaving the book reading the same time that Milchick arrives at her house to talk to Mark S.
Yeah, it's like minutes later.
Yeah. So he arrives, and the conversation with Mark is much different than with Dylan and Irving. He basically is like trying to do a wellness check, see if Mark's okay, if he's going to be back. What did Rickon call Cobell? Cobelvig?
Yeah. Dude, Rickon is great.
Dude,
I hope we see more of him.
He's so funny. So like self-obsessed.
Yes.
But yeah, so like Devin and Mark talk to Milchick about Cobell / Selvig being there. Like, Mark's very disturbed that she's been, his neighbor
in his
and also
house.
His boss. Yeah, like in the house, made him food.
Lactation nurse.
Yeah. So weird.
This chick is messed up, man.
Yeah, and Milchick assures them that like she's been taken care of, right? But yeah, it's very, very interesting. Obviously, Mark's sister is she's
not having it.
Not on board.
So
and Mark also is not seemingly on board here.
Right. I mean, before that, Milchick and Devin kind of like, whatever. It's like a, hey, hi moment.
Yeah.
And she's just like, whatever. And then covers the picture.
Oh, yeah.
With her towel.
Because that whole conversation before Milchick comes up or, comes to the house, she's like, you were talking about the baby, right? He's like, yeah, of course I was talking about the baby. But they both know, like, full well that he was not talking about the baby.
He had the picture in hand. Like,
yeah.
He's in, like, I mean, we'll get to it, but, like, he's convinced that there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like,
maybe
something else is going. And she's been skeptical of the whole Severance thing anyway. So,
right. Yeah, and yeah, so that's very interesting. We can just kind of like go. We'll just talk about like each person's arc in the episode at once, so that way, we're not jumping around a ton. But we
Well,
do learn that Mark S. His last name is Scout.
yes.
Mark Scout. Which I kind of wish that we wouldn't have learned that, because I don't know, it's just endearing knowing them only by the first initial of their last name.
I thought what you said the other day was crazy. What Milchick said to Mark S. about, I hope to see you Monday. And Mark's like, yeah, I don't know, man. And Milchick is like, what you did tonight was unauthorized but very brave. And then I'd hate to reward his courage with non-existence.
Yeah, talking about his innie.
Whoa, bro, coming in hot.
And he says that like with that dumb smile, a grin on his face, in like the super calm, like gentle voice. So good.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that was wild. Basically, like, yeah, Mark, I'd hate to like your decision to lead to the death of Lumen Mark.
Yeah.
That's essentially what he's saying, which is very crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, he also later on, so is Milchick's visit to Mark S.'s house again before or after he and Devin go to the diner?
That is before.
Okay.
Because
so,
yeah.
So like Mark leaves this first interaction, like, leaving Milchick with some uncertainty if he's going to return, all that stuff. So he comes and gives Mark S. a visit at his house, bearing,
I'm sorry. This is after the diner.
Okay, so before this, Mark S. and Devin go to the diner to kind of continue chatting about what happened that night. And this was my only like thing that I kind of rolled my eyes about during this episode, and maybe like the entire show so far. But like, Devin is like, dude, you were talking about Gemma, and like, do you think like there's a way? And Mark gets so mad, which, okay, maybe I could see the anger of being like, your dead wife that we all saw being dead.
You watched her bury. You were at
Yeah,
her funeral.
maybe she's not dead. Okay, maybe that would make me angry. But then when she's like, well, yeah, her death made me sad too, and then he like flips out, and I'm like, that seems like such an unrealistic response. But
About
maybe I'm
what's his face being burned alive, and
yeah, but not even that. Just like, your sister is sympathizing with you,
yeah,
but also like expressing that event caused grief to her too, because
right.
like that's somebody she knew. Like,
Yeah,
I'm assuming was probably close with, because Mark and Devin are close. So like, the fact that he got like so angry and stormed out because his sister's like, yeah, her death made me sad too. I'm like, that's so dumb.
I mean,
I don't know. Maybe that's like a legit response when someone's grieving, but like, that doesn't make any sense to my dumb brain. So
I mean, I don't know. Maybe his like reaction or like his response to it,
Mhm.
and then storming out, like, I mean, at this point in your lives, you would know that your sister cares,
Right.
But the whole reason he got severed was to basically
not have to rehash all this crap.
And basically sweeping it under the rug, forgetting about it, but he's not dealt with it really.
Mhm.
So you get to that level with someone, and if they've not dealt with it, they're going to react in weird ways.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so this whole conversation's happening, and when he storms out, the camera kind of like zooms out, and the new Lumen henchman is sitting there. I got to learn his name.
Mr. Drummond.
Mr. Drummond.
Yep. And
very deep voice, by the way, when he speaks.
I wouldn't want to mess with this guy. He looks very dangerous.
He does.
He also
might be able to outrun him.
Yes, most definitely. He also had a tattoo on his hand.
Oh.
That said frolic.
Oh,
which
yeah, that's right.
is one of the 4 traits of Kier, I guess, or characteristics of Kier, or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, what they call it, but that's one of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So before the diner, that's where Helena replays the whole Helly and Mark tape.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. That's very much a Helena thing,
Gotcha.
and I've got thoughts on that.
I'm gonna try my best not to because all my notes are in order, and I'm gonna try my best not to jump around like we talked about not doing.
right. No, it's hard to do.
Just Mark.
Yeah. So Mark leaves. Mr. Drummond has overheard this conversation, and assumingly he reports that back to Lumen that Mark's considering quitting, because he tells Devin I'm quitting, I'm not going back. But he hasn't told anyone. He's not going to tell anyone until Monday. So that's when Milchek shows up at Mark S's house with the lovely pineapple fruit basket, courtesy of Lumen, and basically begs Mark to come back. He offers Mark a 20% raise, which, dang, bro, that's sick. What else does he do?
So he asks him 3 questions. The first one was, how happy are you with your financial compensation? And then he offers the 20%. He said that he offered an in-depth investigation of his claims, and then asked about Gemma.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And then that's when he says, he brings up his intake interview. It was a primary motivator for severing. And then Milchek said that Mark said every day felt like a year, but you felt like you were choking on her ghost. Do you still feel that way? And he goes on to say he's the Mark he's come to know is happy and funny and has found love.
Yeah, which kind of sparks a thought in Mark S's mind, oh, really? That's possible? But yeah, and Milchek kind of says, any Mark, he's happy, he's in a good place, and it's only a matter of time before that becomes outie Mark too.
Exactly.
So he kind of offers that carrot on a stick of, what Mark S really wanted out of this whole thing, which is to get over this by completely avoiding it.
Right.
In the most literal sense.
And then we have the very next scene where Mark is in the parking lot of Lumen.
Mark
is, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what happens there? Oh, so, yeah, he's got
contemplating
the badge,
still,
yeah.
And then he grabs the badge and he goes.
Is this the point that does he tell Milchek at his house though that he wants everyone back? Does that happen there?
No.
That happens here.
That happens. So we have him going back to work. Helena watches him come back to work and she smiles, and then we have the montage of Mark going to work and then leaving work.
Okay.
And then it leads up to the point where he grabs the monitor and is talking to the board to come back.
That's right. Yeah. And then they have their little meeting in the conference room where
they're the board has granted his request.
Yeah. That's right.
Interesting thing that I noticed, could be nothing, but the last time that Mark leaves, the clock reads 9:15. like, and he says good night, like it's the end of the shift. Like, did he work a 20 or a 12-hour day or what?
Good question. I do wonder how long they work.
Well, I think it's a normal 8-hour shift, because even the guard kind of looked at. I mean, he didn't really look at him weird, but he just kind of like, looked at him as he left.
Yeah, and as we see the others kind of come back into work, the guard only like says hi and interacts with Mark S.
So before that, we have the whole board request thing. Milchek, Helena, and Drummond, one of those.
Just say it confidently, and I'll believe
Drummond. It's Drummond, because the next time I put Drummond, it was with the D at the end. He says, he makes the comment he won't finish without them, and they even make the statement earlier that we need him to complete Cold Harbor.
Mark S is the whole reason.
He's the key
for Severance, but like this whole floor, at least. Like maybe not the whole reason for Severance, but he is the
he's important.
golden swan of MDR. Like the whole reason that
he gets
is happening.
It.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting too. That interaction of like basically just do whatever Mark S wants, because like if he isn't here, this isn't going to work.
MDR falls apart.
Yeah.
So, and then when Mark comes back after that, we see Mark W leaving or getting escorted
getting
out.
Fired.
He's like, I just bought a whatever. Yeah. Oh man.
But like, why do you think Mark S is so important? I mean, besides he's the main character.
I think,
like, does it have something to do with Miss Casey or / Gemma? Like, is that like the test run of whatever they're trying to do for or with Keir, and maybe like they need him because of that motivation, or like what do you think's going on?
My guess is, if I remember correctly, there was a point in season 1 where someone had said that he has had a very high success rate in the MDR, or they're the most successful MDR whatever branch, whatever, I don't know. I don't think they always were, but they got to that point. So they see like he's got some value, like he can get it done when he's focused. So they're either using Miss Casey as a motivator, or they need him to fix her or whatever he's doing, in hopes that the whole team will help accomplish their goals.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's very interesting. Yeah, that whole Drummond comment in Cold Harbor was very ear-raising for sure.
Yes.
Can we talk about Dylan G?
Yes. Yeah, we'll keep the ending part. The whole thing with Mark at the end.
Yeah. Poor guy's trying to go get a new job at Great Door or something. And
Great Door, yeah.
That interview is hilarious. Like, what kind of door would you be?
A pocket door.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because when you're not needed, you could just kind of tuck yourself away.
And they kind of like
look.
It was like a mirror. Like, yeah, he kind of looked like Dylan,
dude. But like, excuse me, he wins over the manager or whatever, and he's like, "So, do you like kickball? Recreationally, watching professionally?" But then he loses the whole interview on a dumb Dylan joke about winning a door prize, and then he reveals that he was a severed employee at Lumen because
Mm-hmm.
Lumen comes up and he's like, yeah, they make their own doors in-house. um, but yeah, so like as soon as he mentions he's a severed employee, like
He's done.
that ends it right there, and the guy wants nothing to do with him. Again, kind of like building on the whole ethical side of the Severance program, because that was a big thing, at least in the beginning of season 1,
Yep.
especially at Devin and Rickon's little like dinner party thing, all the friends sitting around talking about.
Then we had the protesters.
Yes.
Later on. Yep.
So we get to see that in action there. But dude, I love Dylan G. Do we need more baby wipies?
He's great.
Which, now I'm just gonna call him that from now on.
Baby wipies.
Irving is, I don't know what's going on with Irving, because he's like not in a great place, right? Because he just lost his job, but he sees the note about Christopher Walken's character Bert. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
He sees the note about Bert, but like, does he remember Bert? Like,
well, so
does he remember like
I don't
what
know.
he did when any Irving was there?
Well, I know, all I remember is he the one scene where he goes to the payphone,
looking like a criminal, like he's about to go burglarize somebody.
He says, "I want you to know my innie got the message."
He said that,
or something like that.
My innie got the message,
or I got my innie's message, something like that. Some kind of message was gotten.
Both could be applicable because Audi Bert is making all the, or Audi Irving is making all those paintings and the pictures, right? Which appear to be something from the inside. And any Irving talks about those. So like maybe he did get Audi's message, but then also Audi sees the note about Bert and all that. So I don't know who got what message.
The only one that didn't get a clue about the inside was Dylan.
Yeah.
But I was actually talking to a coworker at work today because I know someone else that watches Severance, which is awesome.
And you remembered your conversation at work? Tell me a cheese factory doesn't have a Severance program?
You know, I wish they did, honestly.
That would suck for me because I work from home and never leave, so just wouldn't exist when I walk outside.
Every time you walk to the bathroom, you're just severed.
Where am I?
We were talking about, well, I made the comment, the innies seem to remember stuff where the Audis don't remember anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so it makes you wonder, like, which one is the real, like, true version of someone.
Right.
Because the innies hijacked the Audis' consciousness.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't know. That is interesting. What did your friend say?
He's like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." Wasn't a very deep conversation or long. He was getting ready to go, like, actually go to work. I was on break, and I was keeping him from work, so it was
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see a car kind of approach the payphone.
Yes, we do.
As Irving is making that call, and it appears to be none other than Bertimus,
who looks very distraught.
Yeah, good choice, because I literally was going to say distraught.
Like, he is like, something happened. Obviously, something happened.
Yeah.
Some stranger was pounding on his door, like, Bert, Bert.
Yeah.
And then he just didn't say anything, probably.
Here's the thing. Does Bert remember, like, what happens when you retire? Like, do you get, like,
because you know it's not the same situation as Petey. because he reintegrated, where Bert retired.
Yeah, or was Bert just like disturbed at what happened and kind of like followed Irving
him
or something?
He's now stalking Irving.
Both also could be the case. So, but yeah, I don't know. There's something going on there. I wonder.
I love it.
Wonder if there's like we just talked about, like if there's a difference between the way Bert left, right, and maybe like he gets to retain those memories and stuff.
Yeah,
which would be wild. And then, of course, the fourth person of the crew, Helena. We kind of talked a little bit about what happened in her aftermath, but yeah, we see she kind of reviews the security footage, and like, I think she's surprised at Heliar because Helena is so different. Like, looks like she's probably never felt love in her life. And then to see like Heliar is not cold and like off-putting and kept to herself, but like actually has a personality and seems to like be enjoying aspects of life, even though she's confined into the any life, right? And then has like a connection with someone, maybe.
But I would argue that they both have that like mysterious, like rebellious type. Because Helena, I mean, she has the control, so she doesn't really have to like go against the grain or whatever. And they're like, in that way, they're totally opposite. Like, Helena volunteered to be in it. I mean, they all did, but Helly wants so bad to be out of it. Like, it makes you wonder, like, what's going on with her brain that it's so divided. Like, she is the most divided of the group.
Yeah. And
even going as far as trying to kill herself.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, that's pretty extreme.
And I don't think we get an answer really at the end of the episode regarding Heliar, if it's like Heliar or Helena that's on the inside now. Because she goes, we see her go enter the elevator, but we don't see the transition like we do with Mark S to know if like there is a change happening or not.
Well, so we don't see that with
any of them.
Well, I think we see it with Mark because they always show Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, but in terms of like the co-workers,
right,
we don't see that. But we assume Dylan and Irving go through that. But Helly, I don't know.
She's a wild card at this point.
She is. Yeah, Cobelvig, we'll just call her because she has two names. She, of course, did like play a big part in stopping the like any revolution. Yeah, so we can't forget that.
Right.
And she is kind of like, she was good at her job, according to like her. Like, not, I don't think she's a good person. I'm not saying she's like a good character.
She's psychotic.
Yeah, no, she was great at being the Severance floor manager though. And she really wants to continue that, but I don't know what's up with this new position they offered. If it's like more of a ploy than like a sincere thing. And go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like she's smart. Like, she's very, very smart, and she's smart enough like to know better. Like, she's been in it, and ever since like the whole Kier shrine that she was like praying to or whatever in season 1, she's invested. Yes. She may not be severed, but she is totally 100% invested into this whole thing.
Yeah, and that's crazy. But she kind of feels like Lumen is pulling a quick one on her with this whole thing. Yeah. So I don't even think she declines like in the interaction, but we see towards the end of the episode she's packing up her car and she's heading out. So we are under the assumption that she rejected the new position.
Yeah. Apparently.
But
this interaction was crazy, by the way.
Oh yeah, we'll save that interaction towards the end because it's important. But yeah, like we talked about earlier, Milchick does end up going back and donning the pineapple fruit basket to both Irving and Dylan, offering them their jobs back. And we see the montage of everyone entering the floor, which it seems like they come in. Obviously they come in at different times, but like from different entrances, putting their stuff in the locker, getting their key card, getting waved down by the security guard, going in the elevator. But the thing that I noticed during this whole thing is the only interaction between worker and security was Mark. Like,
yeah,
what's up with that? Is it because Mark's like the top dog and like, they're like, I don't know. Do you think that's even important or it says anything outside of just the person that Mark is?
I don't know. I'm kind of leaning that way because he's, as an innie, he's very like a social butterfly. Like he's very like awkward, like I don't know, kind of awkward, but like really friendly too. Like that's just part of his personality. That's the way that I see it.
Okay.
I don't know, but maybe there's something more there.
Because I don't even know. Does he greet Helena? Does he know that that's Helena, or does he not? I don't know.
I mean, I would say as public as she's been, that he would know.
It'd be hard not to, unless he's severed too. No, I'm just kidding.
The severed procedure or the thing, the magic happens in the elevator
that we know of. Maybe he has a different elevator. No, I'm just kidding.
We don't even know what floor it is. Like,
exactly. I mean, we just know it's down somewhere. Yeah. So why don't you walk us through the end with Mark and the interaction with Cole Belvig and all that stuff?
I do want to point out one other thing in that whole interaction, though. When all the employees are coming back, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is just because I'm like overly like watching for details. Helly is the only one that's like facing the camera when he's like waving the wand.
No, they all were.
They were all facing the camera?
Yeah.
Okay. But I just felt like there was
if
more.
Not, maybe Dylan wasn't, but I know Irving was.
Okay.
So I think they all kind of turned around.
Maybe my mind wanted to think that because it's a significant like question at this point.
Yeah.
Like who is she? All right. So Belvig and Mark. So Mark comes home, and he sees Belvig's car running, and she is at her door. So he gets out real quick, and he's like, "Hey, where do you think you're going? What are you doing?" And she says, "What do you care?" And he's like, "Who are you?" Like trying to like piece all this stuff together. And she responds with, "I thought you were quitting." And he's like, "I trusted you. I told you what I had been going through for the past 2 years. I ate your crappy cookies." I thought that part was funny. He's so funny, like at the right moments.
Yeah.
And then she says, "They convinced you to stay. Was a pineapple involved?"
And you're so easy to please.
So easy to sway.
Yeah.
And then she gets in her car and drives off. He runs out.
Almost running him. Oh no, it's not that part.
He runs into the road to stop her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Why did you do this? What is this all about?" And she doesn't respond. And they stare at each other for an awkward minute. And then he asks her, "Do you know something about Gemma?" and
Kobelvig has terrible poker face.
and she takes a deep breath, looks down, doesn't say anything, kind of like looks like she wants to say something, but then like the psycho
Yeah, she definitely
turns
looks
on.
troubled when he says her name.
Yes. But then she like lays on the horn and starts screaming. Then she stomps on the gas and almost hits him.
Yeah.
And then drives off. Psycho.
Definitely.
And that's where it ends.
Yeah. So there is definitely something going on with Gemma. Like, if you still don't believe after this episode, what else do you need? Come on.
Dude, I'm convinced. Like, between like Cold Harbor picture at the end of episode 1, basically the whole intro video, like the theme, she was in it. Yeah, I mean, it was between her and Helly, but
yeah, the dueling of Gemma and Helly is very interesting.
So I don't know. It's gonna be nuts. But I don't think this is gonna be the end of Kobelvig.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I do really want to know, like, did they pull a quick one on Mark and like do like a body double for Gemma to fake her death, or are they like trying to bring her back in some weird way? Yeah, like, what's going on? Because Mark very clearly says that he identified her body.
Yeah.
He saw her deceased. So what is going on with Gemma?
Crazy body double, something.
Yeah.
Well, did she die in a car accident?
She did. So maybe hard to identify, but enough
identifiable
similarities to be able to say, yeah. I don't know. We're gonna find out, I guess. There's only 8 more episodes this season.
I can't. And then we'll have to wait 5 more years for season 3.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, man. I thought it was a really good episode. Very, very like other side of the coin, like we talked about in the Arcane season. Usually when you see something focused on one set of characters, the next episode will be focused on the other set of characters. This time they're the same characters, just severed in innies and outies. So
yeah.
It'll be cool now that we've got caught up with both versions to see where we go next in episode 3 to kind of progress.
Where do you think we're gonna go next?
Probably back into MDR.
Okay, I think so too.
But I do think we'll probably get more stuff on the outside this season. Have you been watching at the very end of the episodes, like after the credits?
I need to, because it'd be really cool to see that.
Yeah, it's just like little like 1 minute, 2 minute behind the scenes things. But I think we're gonna probably see more outie stuff this season. So, yeah, I don't know, man. They're like, you told me after you watched episode 2 for the first time, like it answers a lot of questions, but then also raises many more questions. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think we're doing next?
I think you're right. But I looked at the next episode. Title is "Who is Alive?"
We would love to know that.
Yeah,
actually, exactly what we would want to know.
Correct. I think we're gonna get. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I think we're gonna get more of the goats. Maybe not an explanation of the goats, but all right. I have a question. Have they cloned goats? I know they've cloned sheep, but what about goats?
I'll look if you keep theorizing.
Okay. But my biggest, I don't even know if it's a theory. It's probably basically the way it is at this point. I think Helena is playing Heli R as an innie. I don't think that's Heli R. That's my take. I mean, they've hinted a lot of that whole deception, and then seeing the video of there was another part that I forgot to mention last week. So there's a part where the team, after our team comes back, they're all going to turn their computers on, right? If you pay attention, Heli struggles to find the switch.
Yeah, she does. She's feeling around back there. Maybe it's Helena.
Because she loves Mark.
Yeah. She's like, I want some of that smoochy smooch action.
But I also think she's kind of doing some reconnaissance. Like,
yeah, no, that would make sense. Because they do make a point to show that. So there'd have to be a reason. To answer your question, yes, goats have been cloned before. In 2009 in Iran, Hannah was the first cloned goat, at least in Iran.
Interesting.
The goal of cloning Hannah was to develop treatments for stroke patients. So,
dude, what if
Kier is not that old and he just had a stroke and they're trying? I don't know. That might be a little lame.
There was I was watching another video where it was episode 1, and I think it was episode 1, but there was a part where Helena's dad comes to talk to her and says something like, I've been in bed crying, or something weird like that. Like, why is that relevant? Like, you're laying in bed. Like, why can't you just say I came here? Like,
I've been in bed crying.
I've been in bed. Something like that. Like, dude, this dude is super weird.
Yeah.
But I think, dude, I'm saying, man, dude, the whole like cult thing is looking more and more possible at this point, because cults are weird, especially like the real strange ones. Like, they get crazy.
Yeah.
I could see that here. I mean, obviously there's other stuff going on too, but
need to figure out what frolic means.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the other ones were. I think there was I have to look it up because I can't. I wrote it down somewhere because I thought it was interesting.
Well, make sure you subscribe here at Showboys, so you can get notified whenever we put out new episodes and things like that. And leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking is going on with Gemma and Cold Harbor and Kier and all this stuff on the MDR floor of Lumen. Yes,
Father. I found it.
Yes.
In the philosophy of Kier Egan, every human soul possesses some quantity of the 4 tempers: woe, frolic, dread, and malice. And it's crazy, right? But it would explain, if it's going this Palpatine route, like if there's a connection with the numbers, it would make sense why Mark made the comment, the numbers make you feel something. And because of when you drag the numbers down into the bin, it shows like an abbreviation for each one.
2 letters.
And each one kind of fills up as you put the numbers in. So what are we building, guys?
Very good question. Very good question.
Building people.
Nice. In a very unconventional way. There's a very natural way to do that, but
Lumen is playing God, basically.
Yes, which we don't like. So make sure you guys tune in next week as we break down episode 3.
Can't wait.
This has been real fun. But yeah, make sure you let us know in the comments what you thought of the episode and what theories you are dealing with in your head. And while you're at it, join our Discord. It's a fun time, pretty active. We got a channel for Severance. We got a channel for all sorts of things.
Yes.
So go join us, get to know us, commune with the Showboys, and we'll see you next week for episode 3.
Oh,
Dude, I
yeah.
just need Rickon to call somebody a fetid moppet, and then I will be just so happy.
Yes.